Hi there, everybody. This is lesson 513. It's about a concept called inverse trigonometry. It's problem 22 in your book if you're following along there. Here we've got a triangle. We know it's a right triangle. And we know two of the sides, 14 and 15. If I asked you to find the missing side, you would probably use Pythagorean theorem because it's a right triangle and we know two of the sides. But how would we find the angles? Up until now, we've been using sine, cosine, and tangent to find missing sides in right triangles. But what about when you're looking for the angle? So let's take a look. Let's say we wanted to find this angle that I've labeled x. Well, we have the adjacent side, 14, and the hypotenuse, which is 15. Now, adjacent and hypotenuse means we use cosine. So we'll set the equation up the same way. The cosine of x equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, 14 over 15. So normally we have an angle here that we can take the cosine of, but we don't know what that angle x is. So the process on these is a little bit different. If we're solving this equation for x, we need to undo this cosine. We need to do the opposite of cosine. So what is the opposite of cosine? Well, just like anything else, like addition has an opposite, it's subtraction. Multiplication has an opposite, it's division. Squared has an opposite. The opposite of squared is square root. Well, cosine has an opposite too, and it's called inverse cosine. So what we're doing here is you take the inverse cosine, and this is a -1 right here. You'll see a button on your calculator that looks like this, cosine, that looks like an exponent of -1. Really what this means is inverse cosine. And you do that to both sides. And when you do that over here, the inverse cosine and the cosine, they kind of cancel each other out. Okay, cosine and inverse cosine are opposites. And what we're left with is just x equals the inverse cosine of 14 over 15. Now for this, you are going to need your calculator. Now on my calculator, I've got to do 14 divided by 15 first, and there's a fraction, that's 14 over 15. And then I hit shift, and then I want inverse cosine, and that button's right here. This one's inverse sine, it's inverse because of the little -1. This one's inverse tangent. I wanted inverse cosine because that's what my equation said. So I hit that, and there is the angle x. Looks like it's about 21.0 degrees. And that is all there is to it. Let's take a look at another one. Let's say we know this angle is 40, no. Let's say we're looking for this angle, let's call it x. Let's say we're looking for this angle, let's call it x. And we know that this side is 6 units, and this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units. And again, we want to find this angle. So we got to decide whether you want to use sine, cosine, or tangent. And that depends on the sides that we're given. The 6 is the side that's opposite the x, the angle that we're looking for, so that's the opposite side. The 9 is the adjacent side, because it's the side that's next to the x. Now, I know it's adjacent and not this one, because this one's the hypotenuse. This one's the one that's across from the 90-degree angle. and the hypotenuse is never the adjacent side. So we've got opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent means we use tangent. So we say the tangent of x equals 6 over 9. Now, how do you undo tangent? Again, we don't have an angle here to take the tangent over with our calculator. So we can't do this like we've been doing the last few days to find the missing sides. What we've got to do is solve for x. We've got to undo tangent. Now you undo tangent by doing the inverse tangent. So all you've got to do is take the inverse tangent of 6 over 9. For that we need the calculator, so let's get that thing back out. So I have to put 6 over 9 in my calculator first. Then I hit shift, and there's the inverse tangent button. And looks like that angle is about 33.7 degrees. And there is the angle. Now, how do you know when to do inverse and when to do the regular ones, sine, cosine, and tangent? You only do inverse when you're looking for the angle. Let's write that down. Only use inverse when you are looking for an angle. If you're looking for a side, you don't use the inverse. And that is about it for today. Hope you guys are having a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.